Ladies and gentlemen, with the release of Reaper of Souls, we have a new class, the Crusader. And I'd be lying if I'd say I wasn't interested in trying him out. It definitely looks interesting. This is the second strength class we have. The first, of course, being the Barbarian. Everyone else, you have 2 dexterity users and you have 2 intelligence users. So now everything is kind of balanced out. And the Crusader being the new kid on the block, I said, you know, maybe I should go ahead and chronicle him while I give him a try, because he's got some interesting abilities from the looks of it, at least on paper. So I'm looking forward to getting into them and seeing exactly how they perform. You can see here in the upper right, we've got a demonstration of several skills for the Crusader. He is a religious warrior committed to expunging evil from the world through discipline, honor, and unswerving vigilance. The Crusader uses cruel flails and shields to dominate the battlefield and cleanse the world of corruption. So he can use all of the other 1- and 2-handed weapons, but he also has the class weapon of the flail. He also has a class shield, so it's a shield that only the Crusader can use, none of the other character classes can. And much like other offhand class-specific items, will roll with stats specific to the Crusader. The Crusader is considered an immovable stone in the middle of any fight. The Crusader stands firm against waves of enemies while annihilating monsters near and far. So the Crusader is kind of an interesting mixture here. He's a strength user, so you'd think melee, but he also has some mid and long range abilities and some abilities that look like they're magical. So it's all about being a holy warrior. So he's kind of a mid-range character, not necessarily melee. The Crusader is imbued with righteous power of wrath. Each attack generates more, which in turn allows the Crusader to unleash ever more devastating powers. So wrath is not exactly a new mechanic. Honestly, I equate it to hatred on a demon hunter, so he's kind of like a demon hunter without the dual resource. Wrath will regenerate itself over time, and you can also get it back through attacks. So we'll take a look at that when we get in. This is the male character model of the Crusader, built like a tank, and here we have the female version of the Crusader. And this shield here is one of my favorite designs of the shields that I have seen on Crusaders. Honestly, much of the armor that I've seen on Crusaders has looked really good. A lot of the tier sets have looked really good, and almost like they tend to belong together. More so than I think than some of the other classes. They tend to look really nice, and they always appear to be fairly armored. So unlike the Barbarian, who can have a lot of exposure through the stuff they're wearing, they do have some heavily armored sets, but some of it doesn't. So you can have a disconnect where you've got these heavily armored shoulder pads and leggings, and then have nothing on the chest. So it can look kind of weird, whereas the Crusader, though, tends to be the complete package of armor. So we're going to go ahead and go through with a female Crusader. There's your starting level 1 equipment. So you do get to start with a flail and 1 shield, which is kind of a nice design. And I also do kind of like the bare clothes you're given. You know, even though you're not in heavy armor yet, you are wearing kind of enough there to keep yourself covered and protected. Going into this game, I'm going to go into Master. I'm going to go ahead and try it from here and pull it down from there if need be. We're not going to start off with Torment. I already know from the Witch Doctor series, if you've seen that, that's a bit high and it takes a long time to kill things. I'm thinking Master might be a better spot. If it starts to take too long, I will bring it down to Expert. The idea here is to try to get to 60 at least before the end game with Diablo, and then basically go through Act 5 from 60 to 70 like it's designed. Because Act 5 is so huge, there's no way you're not getting to Malthael if you're exploring before hitting 70. So we should have plenty of time. Going into Master, we are on Act 1, the Fallen Star. So we have a nice campaign to go through, just like every other class, and we'll kind of get our Crusader's motivation moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and start the game. One thing before continuing on, I would like you to keep in mind, this is a fresh playthrough. I'm going to treat this a lot like I did the Witch Doctor. I'm going to listen to all the conversation options, because sometimes there can be a unique response from your character, and I want to see how my character feels as far as personality, and of course any kind of unique responses they'll have with any of the followers they interact with. So if you're not into that stuff, I just want to let you know that it is going to be there. You can feel free, of course, to skip any of it. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present you with the Crusader.
At 12, I swore the oath, leaving home and family. At 16, I saw my master die. I took up her shield and her name, and on that day, I became a Crusader. Armored by faith, driven by duty, bound to kill the enemies of Zakarum. Sworn to live as a Crusader and to die as one. Now, corruption returns to the hearts of men. I see it in the eyes of the mad, hear it in the howling of the damned. A falling star in the west leads me to the town of New Tristram. The crusade calls me, and so I go.
And so the corruption of man brings us here to New Tristram. Crusader! Alright, before we get started, I'm actually going to go into the character details here. We do have a flail, and we do have a Crusader shield. So very specific weapons added to the character to use. I'm going to go into details and take a look at how the resource works. As I mentioned, you have Wrath, which is kind of like the Demon Hunter's Hatred mechanic. You start with 100, you have a regeneration of 2.5. And you can get cost reduction. Alright, so if we're to look at the skills, or at least the first skill we get, we have Punish. It is a physical ability. It generates 5 Wrath per attack. So I have 2.5 generation, plus I can get 5 more with this, so I'm getting about maybe 7.5 a second, assuming I have a 1 attack speed per second. I can strike my enemy for 200% weapon damage, and I gained Hardened Senses, which increases my block chance by 15% for 5 seconds. So you can see that we're already starting off as kind of a more resilient character. And using your shield is a big part of the Crusader. You cannot dual wield as a Crusader. You can only use a one-hand and a shield or a two-hand. Ultimately, one of the first passes we're going to get is one that allows us to use a two-handed weapon in the one-handed slot and still continue to use a shield. So you have 3 kind of playstyles emerging: one hand with shield, a two-hand, or two-hand with shield. And the truth of the matter is you gain so much from your shield that really you more than likely should be using one. We'll kind of see that as we go forward. At least we'll be investigating that, as that's what I have seen for the most part. Alright, let's go ahead and get going.
The fallen star is close, but there is death here too.
Alright, so we'll take a look at Punish here real quick. You see we hit, and there's like an explosion of holy energy where I hit. Even though it is a physical ability, so it's not actually doing holy damage. I do like as part of the animation, you'll notice that I'm actually using the shield to attack. So the shield is very intrinsic to your fighting style. And we can see when I hit an enemy, my shield actually starts to glow, indicating that I have the increased block chance. See a little bit of a holy glow there. The full glow has kind of dissipated. There it is, the full glow right there. So the full glow apparently only appears on the initial hit, and then after that, it will reoccur after the buff has fallen off.
Greetings. I am a Crusader of the Zakarum faith, and I saw a star falling on this town.
It fell on the old cathedral. There was only one survivor, Leah. You should speak with her.
Captain Rumford, more dead are coming.
We can't open the gates until we drive them back.
They keep coming!
I've never seen anyone fight like that before. Guards, open the gates! You'll find Leah at the Slaughtered Calf Inn.
Alright, so what I want to look at, as part of my details here is my defense, I want to look at my block. I have, with this shield, a 16% block chance, and of course it blocks 7 to 12 damage. So with this ability, we are ultimately getting I want to know if it adds. Is it 15? So is it going to be 31%, or does it increase my block chance by 15, like 15% of what I already have? So that's something I'm going to want to look at. The next combat we get into, let's take a look at what my block chance actually goes up to, because that could be very important. Is that 15% a major buff like that? Is it going to add it together, or is it just going to multiply it? Do I have to have more shield block to benefit more from using Punish? Well, since we're here and the blacksmith is available, we'll go ahead and get his conversation options. Now, one downside that I've noticed as far as this new difficulty system, we don't have the normal Nightmare Hell and all that. This cart is normally moved on subsequent playthroughs. So if you beat the game on normal mode and then you went back to go into nightmare mode, the cart will be moved. So at level 1, or at least in the very beginning of town, I could go into my map here and I could go and talk to the mystic and I could talk to the jeweler. Of course, back then we didn't have the mystic. We only had the jeweler available. I can't do that. At least it seems like every time I restart the game at this quest, even if I've beaten it, I can't go forward. I'm a little concerned to see if that might remove some conversation options, because there were some conversation options you could only get from the very start of the game. I assume that if I go here as soon as the card is moved, I can still get all of those options. So we'll go ahead and get some of our conversations here.
Please, move your cart.
How dare you speak to me like that? I am the mayor of this town.
Lord Mayor, please move your cart.
Are you mad? This town is doomed. Anyone with a grain of sense should be trying to get out. Will you help me or not?
Fleeing will not save your life, and certainly not your town.
Oh, I have to admit, she's very respectful. I like that. As a matter of fact, his response to the how dare you speak to me like that was almost out of place from that. Actually, was quite out of place from that. Oh, wow. I like her so far. They're definitely very polite. I like how she actually introduced herself very calmly and straightforwardly. Is like, this is why I'm here. This is who I am. Alright, Hadrig. Let's talk, shall we?
Nothing ever seems to change in New Tristram, does it?
What do you mean?
There's always some threat of the risen dead or foul evil descending on the town, isn't there?
Indeed, there usually is. An unspeakable, unforgivable evil in the town of Tristram. Alright. Gathering my books, for those who haven't
For many years, villagers were too afraid to settle near the ruins of the cursed town Tristram. But as time went by, adventurers arrived to loot the old cathedral, and their business was profitable enough that New Tristram sprang up to accommodate them. Fewer travelers visit now, though, and the town is mostly populated by craftsmen and farmers.
Are you Leah? They tell me you survived the falling star.
I did, but it blasted my uncle Deckard Cain into the depths of the old cathedral. I tried to search for him, but the dead were already rising. I came back here to rally the militia, but watch out! The wounded are turning!
Alright, let's go ahead and go into the stats. We'll take a look. I am at 31%, so the block chance is increased by a flat 15%. So if I let it fall off, there it goes down to 16. So great, it adds it completely. It is not at a percentage of the percentage. That's important. You never know exactly what you're getting. For instance, cooldown reduction doesn't exactly work like you might think. I'm going to go in here real quick and look at that here. Cooldown reduction. Alright, so looking at cooldown reduction, there's something really important here you should really know about cooldown reduction. It works in the way you expect, but it also doesn't work in the way you would expect. So with any one set of cooldown reduction, you can reduce your cooldown by quite a bit. If you were to get something with 100% cooldown reduction, you would completely reduce that. But the thing is no one piece of item is ever going to have 100% cooldown reduction. With each piece you find, it multiplies it together. So if you find one 50% and another 50%, it doesn't quite add up to 100% because they're multiplying off of each other. You probably end up with something more akin to 75% cooldown reduction rather than 100. So you have to keep in mind those don't add together. This is why I wanted to look at the block chance, and if they actually added together, and it appears they do.
The dead will overwhelm us all, unless something is done.
Something like putting them back to sleep? I can do that.
Thank you. You should speak with Captain Rumford at the gate. He can tell you what to do.
Yes, we can put them back to sleep.
We've been under siege for 6 days now. Uncle Deckard is still missing. Captain Rumford and the others are losing hope. I tell them not to lose faith, but if help doesn't arrive soon...
Don't lose faith, Leah. It's not like I'll die from a fall, a large fall, crumbling tomb or anything like that. No butterflies, you never know. Those are quite dangerous.
We have come at last to Tristram's old cathedral. This is where Diablo, Lord of Terror, first corrupted mankind. This is where I may finally find the answers I seek. Leah worries after my safety, but I believe information vital to defeating the last lords of the burning hells can be found here.
Alright, so here we have our new secondary ability. Just hit level 2 by finding the journal, which is good timing since we're going to have a bunch of enemies to fight now. We have a 30 wrath cost ability in Shield Bash. It is holy damage. Charge at the enemy, bashing them and all nearby foes. It deals 325% weapon damage plus 300% of your shield's block chance as holy. Now it says of your shield's block chance, the question is, with Punish, you get your block chance increased by 15%. Does it do more? We'll be looking at that. I believe it will, which means that Punish and Shield Bash are excellent skills to be working off of each other. Punish increasing the damage of your Shield Bash. Now, if I were to right-click on Shield Bash, you'll notice it kind of just pushes forward. I like the look of that. You can see it's the sigil of my shield just kind of pushing forward. If I simply right-click, you'll notice that I will do it right where I stand. It will not charge forward. If I have a target, however, I will actually charge forward. So once I actually get some enemies, I'll go ahead and show that off.
I've come to help. How do we stop these risen dead?
I admire your courage, but Captain Dalton and the militia were slaughtered by those things. Only I survived.
Have faith, Captain. Have faith.
Well, I have seen you fight. Strike at the wretched mothers and their queen. They're the ones vomiting out these horrors.
They're attacking the barricades!
Alright, so I'll go ahead and charge in. I quite like that ability. So it did about 18 each, so with it fully powered up. Let's kind of take a look here. 10, 12. Now without the additional shield block, looking at about 11.
Heal me! My wrath is low.
13. That was with shield enhance. So let's wait for it to go back down. I'll use my potion. I think the damage numbers might be a little bit too low to really tell here. Alright, we'll just go ahead and go forward.
There, that's one of the wretched mothers. There are more of them in the ruins down the road.
Alright, there we go. Found some pants. Actually, looks like it fits right in with the outfit. I think there's a slight color change. Let's kind of take a look here. Yep, slight pattern change too. Very subtle. Easy to miss.
I, Deckard Cain, have spent many years traveling and writing about the strange creatures in our world. But the sight of the wretched mothers still haunts me. They are the remnants of Queen Asilla's slaughtered handmaidens who were twisted by foul magic. Now they feast upon cadavers and regurgitate them as newly formed, risen dead.
I require more wrath. I'm healed.
I will never forget the first time I saw these horrors shambling out of the misty woods. Our loved ones, buried long ago, rose from their graves and began to attack the living. However, the risen dead were only the beginning.
Stops the crusade.
The very beginning of that got cut off, so it's like stops the crusade. I'm like, what? What about stopping the crusade? Why would you stop it? You are the crusade. Alright, I'm going to play these lore pieces as I go forward, of course. I am looking to feedback to that. I am treating this again like a new playthrough, so I'm kind of going through everything. But if that is not desirable, of course, since a lot of this is old information, I will be going through it for Act 5. But do inform me of what you think. Let's go ahead and go back into the Quillfiend.
Dear reader, I am Abdalhazir, adventurer, scholar, and researcher. I share my knowledge of this incredible world and its creatures through my insightful missives, often at grave risk to myself. Why, I was recently in Kanduras, where my tents were ransacked by vicious Quillfiends. I was able to beat them off with a shoe, but a less bold man would have fared far worse.
Smashing pumpkins!
That creature must die.
Oh, hello. Alright, I've got a new ability, but I have a feeling I'm going to want to use this one for now. Just because we have some additional block chance with this.
My strength fails. My wrath is low.
Things are feeling pretty good around this difficulty so far. I'm able to survive at this point in time. I just have to make sure I keep using my potions effectively. Now, when we get the damage levels up a bit, I will be looking at how much damage that shield bash does. So I'm still looking at 11 there, even with the buff.
Not enough wrath.
And 12. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's getting enhanced, but 300%. What is it? 300% of your shield's block chance. So we're looking at 30%. Well, let's just look at the plain 15%, right? 300% of your shield's block chance is holy. 300 weapon damage, 300%. That just doesn't seem quite right. How exactly is that factoring it in? Because if I were to look at the base chance, I'm just kind of trying to sate my own curiosity here. I mean, my base block chance, 16% chance to block. Oh, you know what? That's right. I'm thinking of it as a pure number, right? I'm thinking, oh, if I'm doing 16% and multiply that by 3, which is the 300%, I should be doing 48 damage. Well, percentages are just 0.1, so that's 0.48. So yeah, there's no way I'm going to tell. It's either going to be 0.48 or double that. It's going to be maybe 1 additional damage at most. At this level, it would seem. I'll look into that more. I think the numbers are just way too low, really, to kind of get a feel for it, I think. That's what you get when you're dealing with percentages. I completely forgot that 16% is actually 0.16, not 16. It's like, why am I not doing 16 damage? Alright. Alright.
Heal me.
I'm going to open this chest, get a few items, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the new skill. Excellent. That will help out. Let's go ahead and zoom in so we can see some of the gear I have. Alright, so I got some new gloves. We can see there's a slightly different design on them. I also got a weapon at 3.2, so I can replace my flail. I kind of like the flail, though. I'm going to go ahead and use up my wrath so you can kind of see it. It's kind of funny because you look at it and it looks like it's got kind of a good motion to it, but when they let it have free-flowing physics, it was just bouncing all over the place. They showed that off when they announced the Crusader. We're doing the Crusader's art and design panels, and they're like, nope, we had to actually chain in the animation and prevent it from having full physics. So I thought that was pretty funny. But we're going to go ahead and use an axe now. We have these gloves with cooldown reduction, and we have this belt with life regeneration. That will certainly help. I also, of course, have this new armor. I'm going to go ahead and just show that off real quick. There we go. That's what we look like. And I should put the shield back on, because without a shield, I can't bash. So you'll find that, yes, you do have skills that do require the shield. And yes, I forgot to change skills. Let's go down. While in combat. Yes! These are the perils of trying to do too many things at once.
Not enough
Uh-oh.
wrath. My strength fails.
Taking a lot of damage there.
My strength fails.
Those guys certainly hurt. Alright, so new skill. It is a new primary skill. It is Slash. It does fire damage as a base, generates 5 wrath per attack, just like Punish. Ignite the air in front of you, dealing 190% weapon damage as fire. So yes, we are doing 10% less weapon damage than Punish, and we are losing the block chance. So it might not be a skill I use for too long at this point, but the upside is that it is kind of a cleave mechanic. Unlike the Barbarian, which cleaves in a horizontal arc, this one actually cleaves in front of you. It gets you kind of a short distance. This is why I like to say that the Crusader is something of a mid-range fighter. You have Punish, which is very short-range, Slash, which can go out a little bit. Smite, which we'll ultimately get, is something of a ranged attack, but has a maximum distance that's actually a lot smaller than you would think. And then Justice, which is just pure long range and can go as far as you want. But yes, you have some skills that are going to be fairly close range, but you're going to have these skills that are going to go out just a bit and give you just enough range that you can probably kite a bit. And that's what we're going to do with this. Since I don't have the block chance anymore, I'm going to be keeping my distance a little bit and see about kiting the enemy a bit. I also want to show that, yes, you cannot dual wield, just real quick. No dual wielding for you.
I can no longer deny the true nature of the evil that rises from the depths of the cathedral. It is almost too horrible to admit the truth of it. It is the Dark Lord of Terror, Diablo himself, who plagues us.
I really like Shield Bash in the fact that it's just a charge-in attack. It allows you to get into combat very quickly, and it doesn't do a bad amount of damage either. Now what I'd like to see about Regeneration here is if, like the Demon Hunter, the Demon Hunters don't have to hit anything in order to get their Regeneration. So we're going to take a look at that here.
My wrath is
So
low.
8, 9, 10... So it's looking like generation does not happen unless we hit an opponent. So if we hit something, yeah, there it goes up. And you can see I'm using Slash to my advantage, keeping the enemy at bay. So I can use it to hit multiple enemies, or I can just use it to keep back. And what's nice about Shield Bash is I can also use it to get into combat, or I can also use it to keep my range. So I can just stay back here, and I'm just going to go ahead and, well, that one charged in. I meant to actually use it as a bash standing still. It can be a little tricky to try and use it standing still. You have to kind of hold your movement button and hit the ground. Or actually, you don't even have to hold the stand still button because it will attack stationary if you click on ground rather than an enemy, like so.
While exploring a cave with hopes of finding hidden treasure, I came upon a most grisly sight. A heap of dead bodies. Unbelievably, as I was searching them for any items of value, they began to rise. I must tell them of this in New Tristram before it's too late.
See there, it's got a pretty good run radius too, like come all the way back here, or run distance. Like I can pretty much run all the way across the screen with this Shield Bash. So if you see an enemy, you can hit that enemy. You want to get into combat, you can use Shield Bash. You see here, trying to use my skills effectively. It's very difficult to really gauge the distance on the bash when you're using the ground. So like right there, there we go, that was good distance. But the range on it is really not that far, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. Alright, so we have a new skill category. We have Shield Glare. So, much like a monk, we're going to have a blind ability. Shield Glare, holy damage, but it doesn't actually do damage. It's a holy skill. 12-second cooldown, no cost on Wrath. Light erupts from your shield, blinding all enemies up to 30 yards away in front of you for 4 seconds. And of course, it does require a shield. So if you're trying to maybe try a two-handed weapon build without a shield, which is completely possible, you want to try that, you can do it. But keep in mind, this is one of the abilities you won't have. So I'll go ahead and do it. I really like the look of this. It has a nice range. You see that? It's just a wide area there. Something I like about the Crusader that I've experienced is that not only are you the mid-range fighter that's got some nice abilities for moving around and keeping the enemy at bay and also hitting a large group of enemies, single target seems to suffer a little bit on the Crusader. But the Crusader feels a lot like a mixture between a barbarian and a monk. You have holy skills, you can I believe you can heal, I'll have to look. But here I have a cleave ability, kind of like a barbarian, just outwards instead of horizontal. And now I have a flash ability to blind, like a monk. I use strength like a barbarian. It's like the parallels between the two are quite nice. I like both classes, and there's good and bad to both, monk and barbarian. And this one just kind of seems to have an interesting mix of the two that makes it just that more interesting and kind of fun to play. So I didn't think I was going to be keeping this skill, but what I'm liking about it is I can kind of kite. As a strength-using character, I can kind of kite. And I think the fact that this is a strength character is also very important, because something you have to keep in mind with strength is not only does it increase your damage, but it also does give you raw armor. I mean, back when primary stats could drop for all characters, you could still use strength on other characters as an armor substitute if you were trying to go for survivability. So I should be fairly tanky because of all the armor I have. Now you might say, well, intelligence also gives you resist to all. Well, yes, it does, but intelligence kind of gives you a reduced resist to all. I would say comparatively. Yes, it does give you that resistance. But these melee characters, and I'm not sure if the Crusader gets it, but the melee characters typically get a damage reduction. Monks and barbarians were given a 30% damage reduction for being close-in melee characters. Whether or not that mechanic still exists with all the changes they've done to survivability, I'm not sure. Does the Crusader have it? I'm not sure. So here we go. I have a weapon at 4.5. That'll be a nice damage increase. This is a two-handed flail, though, so if I use this, I'm going to lose my shield skills. I'm going to go ahead and put it on as kind of a demonstration. I also like the looks of these two-handed flails. I just kind of bring that up here. I mean, that is pretty heavy looking. That's going to look like it hurts. Now, I do lose my ability to shield glare. I do lose shield bash. But thankfully, I just learned sweep attack. This doesn't require a shield. So this comes at a good time. I'm going to go ahead and use this. Sweep attack, 20 wrath. Sweep a mystical flail through enemies up to 18 yards before you. It does 400% weapon damage. So nice, strong hitting ability. And it comes at an excellent time. I can't glare, but I can use my sweep attack. So now I have a pretty good amount of damage. You can see she just really has to put both her hands into that. Big hitting weapon. So let's go ahead and do the sweep. You can see it's a nice wide area. So right now I have a really good wide area of attack right now. I can keep kiting at a distance since I'm hitting slower. I'll continue to use slash. Since I don't have a shield, I will not want to use punish anymore. Nice hard hitting. A bit slow, but I can actually make this work. I have to say, a lot of the Crusader's skills also look pretty nice. Kind of flashy. Even with the high damage, the enemies just don't really want to die right now. Oh, we got some boots, it looks like. Reptilian shoes of the lion with strength and life per second. Just go ahead and zoom in so we can see those. A good feel so far, even at the low levels. And I've only played a little bit of the Crusader. I haven't really seen a lot of the skills in action. But there is definitely some callbacks to the old Paladin as well, such as the Blessed Hammer that you can have all around you. So it feels interesting being a melee character that can kite. The monk almost could do this, almost. Deadly Reach did give you a very long range of attack, but it was typically on the third hit, and that third hit did have a huge range on it. The first two hits were okay. I don't think they go quite as far as Punish is going now. So the monk really couldn't effectively kite with it as much as I can right now. I actually have enough range right now to be a physical melee kiting character. It's working. I can keep my distance, just keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. And a good amount of damage, again, just going into that range, that whole group of enemies there. I expected this to be the Quill Fiends, but apparently it is a cellar full of zombies. Hello, zombies. Would you like to be crushed by my flail? I'm sure you would. I know I would like to do it. Crush you with my flail. That's a heavy looking thing. I just would not want to be hit by that. Enemies taking a bit longer to kill, so I will be continuing to monitor this as far as difficulty is concerned, and considering if it should change.
Not enough wrath.
Survivability is good so far, especially because I can kite. Another one of these big guys. It's usually these bigger guys that really slow it down. And as you can see, are the ones also doing quite a bit of damage. The regular zombies, regular enemies are really not as bad. These guys just take a while. And of course, you have to kill them twice. Once we get some gear going here, I think we'll be fine. I have some items in my pack that I can... Well, really just whites. I won't have any blues to make items with. Well, now I might. So, belt, what is this? Regenerate life and range of melee attackers take thorns damage. Yes, that's much better. What braces did I get? Vitality and life per second. Very good. Yeah, much quicker to kill these guys. They are kind of cannon fodder. It would be nice to have the blinding flash, though, or what it's called, shield glare. There we go. Cloth, tunic, is it better? No, it's about the same.
Old Tristram. Diablo himself was here.
Alright, deal with the wretched queen. Actually doing a good amount of damage to her. She is falling a bit faster than the fat zombies, actually. Speaking of the devil. Ugh. Please die. Please. Wow. He took me seriously on that one. Alright, Javelin, 8.4. Great. A one-handed weapon. We can go back to the shield, get a bit more DPS out of this. And I can glare again.
I had heard the rumors, but I thought them just fancies of bored women. Until I saw them dragging people through the streets today. And citizens, has the world gone mad?
That damage increase must have been good, because these things are dying a lot faster. Just shows you the difference a good weapon can make. I mean, we're looking at a difference of 4.5 to 8.4. I mean, if we just actually look at the DPS that happened here, we're looking at going from 5.8 up to 10.9, doubling my attack damage. So a good item, especially at the beginning of the game, really makes a big difference, and this is probably why leveling on Torment just really wasn't that great, because in the beginning, items don't drop a lot. What I have noticed, because I want to make a follow-up to some of the statements I've made before as I was doing leveling on the Witch Doctor, items don't drop a lot here, right? And it does kind of feel hard to get upgrades at the moment. That's really just seems to be a mechanic of the area and the level I'm in. Because once I start getting in the higher levels, at 70, my pack is constantly filling up, especially since I'm having to I'm picking up all the whites. And by the way, Act 5 has tons and tons of weapon racks and things like that. If you're concerned about finding any kind of white item, Act 5, everywhere. They are everywhere. So it is not as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be.
Thank you for your help, but could you talk some sense into Leah? She won't give up on the idea of rescuing her uncle.
She's brave. With help, she may yet save Kane. Yes!
Excellent. So I do like the fact that you can get items from quests now, because now we have a dedicated Sacred Studum of Thorns. 1 life per wrath spent, a very nice healing mechanic. And range and melee attackers take damage. 62 armor, it has a 15% chance to block. Blocks 13 to 18 damage as well, so it's a slightly less block chance, 1% less. But it blocks more, which is good. Alright, I don't think there's anything else I need to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at that shield. Very nice. Let's actually hit escape and take a look at it. There you go. That is a nice towering shield. Tower shield, indeed. Very nice. I do like the armor progression for her so far. I mean, each of the armor pieces don't look that different from her base clothing set that she had. But you can kind of see there are some differences to the textures here. It starts to look a little more intricate. And even though we're not armored yet, it still it feels right as a set going together so far. Alright, and with that, I believe we leveled. We're going to get punished, we're going to get a rune, we're going to get roar. It's going to continue to be fire damage. Or no, was it fire before? It was physical, I apologize. It's going from physical to fire damage. When you block with Hardened Senses active, you explode with fury, dealing 45% weapon damage as fire to enemies within 15 yards. This is nice. Now, what this means is that something like Punish and Roar would be very useful for a shield with a higher block chance rather than, say, a higher block amount. So you want to try and find a good shield with a good high block chance, because then you're going to start doing a whole bunch of damage, because the more you block, the more damage you're doing. So this is great. We're going to get Roar, start using that. Doesn't look like we have anything else. No other runes. So we're looking good. You see it gets a little bit of a fiery glow to it, so not only does it have the hit, the explosion of like holy energy, but you can see the fire burning there real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and ask around town here. We are getting close to the end here, so I think what we'll do is we'll cut off as we are going towards Adria's hut. And we'll go ahead and get the conversations out of the way now.
When Leah told us the dead were pouring out of the cathedral, we quickly went to put an end to it. At first it seemed we were succeeding, but they just kept coming. We were overcome. Captain Dalton and the men fought valiantly. They protected me. I am no soldier. I was a farmer. I should not have been out there with them. I do not know how I made it back here. None of the others did. And now, somehow, I'm supposed to lead the militia. I volunteered to help because it seemed the right thing to do. But I'm no leader of men.
You were called, and you answered.
That's a simple thing for you to say. You were born to fight monsters like the risen dead. Me? I'm just a farmer.
I like Dalton. Or Rumford, I apologize. I like Rumford. And it's really a shame that I still have yet to really have seen his body. I know he ultimately dies, but... it's a shame, really. And I've heard where his body's supposed to be, I just never quite seen it. It's looking like talking to Hadrig is actually not letting me get a conversation option with him. That's odd. Is the cart moved? Let's find out. Can I actually do anything here? Nope, apparently not. Alright, so we're going to talk to Leah, and then there should be some journals.
Leah, let us find your uncle.
We'll need to open the cathedral first. The guards locked it up before they were ambushed. Rumford told me they fought their way back to Adria's hut. The key must still be there. For a long time, Uncle Deckard avoided coming back to this place. There were a lot of ghosts here for him. This is where Diablo drove old King Leoric mad and terrorized the people. I don't know what really happened here, but whatever it was horrible. Nearly everyone who survived went mad.
I didn't go mad. I saw the truth of it.
Leah, tell me about your mother.
Well, details are hazy, but I know that Adria was obsessed with chasing the arcane. She knew she could never raise a child. Uncle Deckard believes that the madness and horror of her life finally caught up with her. I've never heard of the Crusaders.
We're from the East and only recently came to these lands. Some of us did, at least. We serve the Zakarum faith.
Well, I hope you're not planning to convert these people by the sword.
I'm not here to convert anyone. My crusade is to cleanse the corruption that infests my faith. When that evil is destroyed, the Zakarum will be restored, and people can choose to believe in it or not as they please.
Wow. So there's a whole new conversation option about the Crusaders here. I don't recall, maybe there might be one for each class, but that was kind of nice to see and hear, and it gives me a little bit of insight into the Crusader there. I like the fact...
It doesn't feel right being in Uncle Deckard's room when he's not here.
No, it's okay, Leah. I'm fine with it. It's okay. She's kind of hot. Let her go as she pleases. Yes. Yes. But I do like it. Again, it kind of... what it shows me here, too, is that her faith, the whole thing about, I hope you're not here to convert everyone, you know, and that's exactly what she said. That's not what it's about. It's about cleansing our own corruption. You want to believe in it, you don't want to believe in it, that's your choice.
Do you like it?
It's fantastic, Leah. I mean, wait, you're not asking me.
A miracle has happened. A hero, like one out of Uncle Deckard's tales, appeared and saved us. I know in my heart that my uncle still lives, and I pray that the hero will bring him home safely.
I like how Leah responds differently between a male and a female character going into a room. If you're female, it's like, do you like it? Oh, Leah. Alright, now we have some conversation.
It doesn't seem likely that Deckard Cain could have survived down in the cathedral this long, does it?
Cain is alive. I will rescue him.
You seem quite sure of yourself. You know something I don't.
Yes, he does. Shut up, don't ask questions.
Death may be upon us all soon, but I shall...
Here, let me open the gate. Adria was my mother, but I don't know much about her. She died when I was very young. I was raised by Uncle Deckard.
And your father?
I'm told he was a great warrior who was lost when Tristram fell to the demons.
So you can kind of see there was the explosion. I'll go ahead and let them hit on me a bit. Try and block. Come on, block. Block. There it is, there it is. Oh, you guys are going to be the death of me. I also like to point out, you can see that the shield is also burning with fire whenever it activates. Let me go ahead and very quickly find something, since I've got a... Well, I guess I'll let the book play, and then when I'll hit something, I'll kind of zoom in on that to show the fire.
In the eastern kingdom of Khejistan, I heard rumors of Zakarum warriors called Crusaders. While the natives were most reticent, I was able to deduce that this order was founded 200 years ago, just as Rakis took his army of paladins west. But these Crusaders went east on a very different mission.
Look! A hidden cellar! Follow me!
There are dark secrets here.
People said she was a witch, but I never believed it. Captain Dalton!
Oh yeah, there's the explosion. Wow. Okay, let's get rid of some of these guys. Can't kite very effectively with Punish, unfortunately. But I'll let him do a bit of damage to himself. Blind him every now and then.
I'm fading. My wrath is low.
You know, she says that very calmly. I can totally believe she has no wrath at that point. Whew.
I'm healed.
Some nice blue weaponry, actually. So let's see what we've got. Gloves with some strength. Nice strength. Looks like we got a 12.6 and a 9.1 sword. Shame I can't dual wield, right? So life after kill or fire damage, and kills grant experience. Well, this one grants a 50% damage buff here, as we've talked about. That is going to be pretty massive. So we're going to go ahead and use that one. We're going to go from a 12.4 up to an 18.6. Not too bad. I look more like a swashbuckler now. It's glorious. Alright, new belt. Yes, strength and gold for monsters. We will take that. Excellent. Leah! Let us talk.
Here's the key, and my mother's journal. What I've seen of it is disturbing. I want to know more about her, but that can wait. We need to save Uncle Deckard first.
I will go. Stay here and learn what you can.
Thank you.
Aiden came to me last night. I suspected what was lurking within his troubled heart. I consoled him as best I could. Regardless, wherever he's headed, hell will surely follow in his wake. The shadows close in on Tristram once again. But like Aiden, I'll be gone before they fall.
Now, an interesting thing here about sweep attack is that it won't proc unless you have a target, I've noticed. So I right click, it won't actually fire off unless I actually click an enemy. Now I can get around that by holding the walk button. So it's nice to know that it won't fire off unless it knows that something is in my range. See, and she'll even walk right up to the target for me. Alright. We have a new secondary, I do believe. Just checking everything else. Yes, new secondary. So Shield Bash. has a rune to it now. So since we're using Punish, we can actually get a little more synergy going again. Shield Bash, Shattered Shield. We are going Holy Holy. So staying holy damage. Shield shatters into other smaller fragments. It hits more enemies for 325% weapon damage plus the 300% of shield block chance. So the 300 doesn't change. The 325 doesn't change even. It's all the same. The only thing it does is it has a wider area, which is actually pretty nice. So I'll kind of show it off here. I'll just show off both variants. We'll go ahead and get Shield Bash without a rune, and we'll go ahead and show off. And there's what it looks like with a decent range. Get Shattered Shield on it. And you can see it goes out kind of the same distance and then shatters again, going about a bit further. So I'll go ahead and do that towards the screen here when I get a bit more wrath. Let's kind of go forward, Old Tristram Road. Ah, the mass grave. Excellent. Well, not that mass graves are excellent, but it's an event. You can see how it just spreads out there. So it's a lot easier to gauge the distance on it.
I'm fading. I require more wrath. Heal me.
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting to die that fast all of a sudden. Well, good thing this isn't hardcore, right? Right. He hit me rather hard there. I'm kind of surprised. The difference there fully was unexpected. Alright, well, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. That's a death already right at the very beginning. That should not be happening. Alright, let me go and show it off here towards the screen. There you go. You see the sigil comes out and then it just shatters again. Pretty nice.
From Cathedral, the fallen star lies within.
Actually getting some pretty good crit damage going now. I might be able to get a better feel for the damage increase if it functions with Punish or not. Kind of take a look around, make sure there's nothing else here. We are pretty much at the end. So let's let that drop. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to let that drop and then I'm going to hit. 65, 60. Activate it. Variance is pretty high. Okay, I've hit my checkpoint. Can't really do... Are you kidding me with that? Hold on. I don't have a town portal. I want to point this out. I don't have a town portal. But if I go into the map and I click New Tristram, apparently the map functionality wasn't tied into the fact that you have a town portal or not. So you can't... So town portal, you normally hit the button, it just takes you back to town. In this case, I can just click.
That can't happen.
Click. Now, when you're in town, do keep in mind, when you're in town or on one of the waypoints, you will teleport instantly. You don't have to actually channel. But you know what? This is a good spot to end it, because I've died and I feel terrible about that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the gear, and we'll do the crafting corner at the end of the video here right now. Let's just go ahead and disenchant everything and see if I have enough to make any items. Alright, there we go. 74 common, 12 exquisite. I think I should be able to make something. 7.7s. Oh, and 11.2. That might not be a bad idea, considering... Oh, no, I don't have the tiers right. The 7.7s. Probably around 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Might be a little bit less than what I've got. Let's look at armor first before we do anything else. Yes, let's do that. Bracers. We'll do that. No, I can't. I need 11 essence. What about chest? I can do that. I already have a decent Crusader shield that was given to me, so we'll go ahead and make the chest. I have a 5 essence. So there we go. I was able to make a couple things. Actually, it looks like the boots, while more armor, were less strength. So I lose a little bit of damage, and I lose the regeneration, but you know what? That's fine. The armor is probably going to help me more. And then here we get some vitality and health globes grant additional life. So there we go. I think that's good. So yeah, a little bit of an inauspicious beginning, though. Oh, he's already selling. I don't think I would have had 2,000 gold at this point. I'm not going to buy that just yet.
Some brand new goods you might be interested.
Yeah, alright, we'll end it here going into the cathedral, and here's kind of the look for the character now. You can see now we're starting to get into the armor, so we actually have a pretty decent breastplate on now. So we're looking pretty good. I mean, even at the very beginning, I actually look like I have a pretty good amount of armor. And I do like the Crusader so far. The damage spikes, man, I don't know where that damage spike came from. So yeah, my apologies for sucking it up on that. We'll try and do better, much more better in the future. This is the Crusader. Again, please leave any feedback of how you feel about how the story progression is, or doing the journals or anything like that. I definitely want to go through all the story options just because of the character voice. And honestly, I'm glad I have so far, because I really... so far, like the personality of the Crusader, at least the female version so far. I haven't really had a chance to explore the male version. I do want to state here, when deciding to choose the characters, and I ultimately chose to go with the female version of the Crusader, I kind of want to do each class, I'm kind of dividing it evenly when I'm going to do these videos especially. I have nothing against any of the character types, female or male. But I have to say that in this game, I've noticed that some of the female voice acting just is not all that great. Like, I do not really care for the female barbarian, and I don't really care for, from what I've heard, the female witch doctor. She might be better than I think going through story, but from what I've heard of her so far, I really just love the voice of the male witch doctor. He just sounds so much more sage. Something about the female barbarian, the way her delivery is, just doesn't quite work for me. But there are exceptions, like from what I've heard of the female demon hunter, she sounds quite nice. Of course, the male versions of the demon hunter and the wizard also sound quite nice, as well as their female counterparts. So it sounds like there was a lot of good work done there. Crusader, so far, love her and her personality and just the way she's had her delivery. So this has been an excellent experience so far for me. Again, comments and feedback. How you feel? How do you feel about the... You can even answer that. How do you feel about the acting of some of the characters? Maybe you made a character of a certain type or sex, and you thought, man, I don't really like the way this sounds, or something like that. And maybe you prefer the other counterpart. Well, yeah, feel free. Let's have some discussion down there if you so desire. All right, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure.